So was it that you got a haircut and a shave, or was it
Man.
just a shave, like a long haircut, or what? Mo
Man.
texts me from the barbershop like, I'm hurrying, man. I'm coming.
My barber put on the hot towel at the end, man. I was like, yo, I got to go right now, okay? I got extra treatment today for some reason, DK. Probably because it's hump day. See?
Are we ready for the Ramon Foster show? Are we ready for that?
More than ready. Let's rock, man. Absolutely. Let's do this.
All right. Let's do it. Let me find
what am I talking about? Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. You got
not doing it right.
Look at us totally out of sync here. Go ahead. And welcome to the Ramon Foster Show. It stars the one, the only Ramon Foster. That's kind of how it goes. It's where we got the name. He is the 11-year starting guard in the National Football League, all 11 of those for the Pittsburgh-based franchise.
Yes, with the Steelers.
Those
Yes,
guys.
Indeed, man.
Moan, the Steelers did just a little bit ago, training camp, in the books and everything. Got together on the grass in the middle of Chuck Noll Field. I'm going to start jogging some memory for you here.
Yeah, do it, man.
And you can always sense when that happens, can't you? That it's like, yeah, all right. Let's go to work.
I can breathe now, man. It's that side of it, DK, is that I can breathe. It is, you get a little bit of normal back. Being on the south side is a little bit different than being in Latrobe at St. Vincent College, man. It also is an eye opener to a lot of people at training camp too. That look, what do you mean? We go to the south side, then business starts to kick in a little bit more. Like positioning for roster spots, DK, is we're no longer at the beginning stages of this thing. It's somewhat dwindling down now.
Yeah, I always got that sense, like it wasn't like, oh, this is over, this is done. It's more like, all right, now we're going to that place where the work gets done.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's that we're no longer covered by being in dorms, like guys being on time for stuff, driving into the facility, getting your timing down. That's where a lot of this is going to take place for the newbies, right? For the new guys that are coming into the building. All right, where is the south side at? Where am I going to stay at? What's the coordination of time I need to be in the weight room? When do I eat breakfast? Because not everything is consolidated to one spot being on campus. That's the unique thing about Pittsburgh doing training camp at Latrobe, DK. We're in dorms. Everybody's together. We're playing video games, together. I see Joshua Dobbs says it, like, time to man up. Like that's exactly what it is at that point, because dreams will be crushed, DK, in about less than a month?
It's 3 weeks? It's in that range, yeah. But at the same time, I can also imagine that for the new guys, for the younger guys, and so forth, that now it's like, oh, this is where they actually train for the real games. This is actually really cool.
And I'll be honest with you also, man. There is a side of there's a side that is, I ain't gonna say it's easier practicing on the south side, but you do somewhat get to breathe a little bit more. Practice is spaced out. Like, I didn't mind doing 101s at 3400 South Water Street on the south side, okay? Because I knew at the end of the day, I was going home. Now you're not gonna keep me here all night long. And we are probably at a point where we got to somewhat start game planning for the game. Last week, I think we saw it too. There were, moments just like, okay, what is the rhyme and reason behind this offense? Do they actually have a game plan? And last week, I think probably 80% of the NFL offensively and defensively too didn't have game plans. They just let the game roll out, go with what's their core plays that they're going to run, and tell guys, just go play your best ball and we'll evaluate it whenever we get back to the building.
Moan, the state of the team right now, at least as I sense from the fan base, almost all the focus has been on Brandon Aiyuk when you think about it for a while now. And you understand, I mean, when the Steelers and 49ers have reached, which they have, an agreement on what a trade would look like, and you have a player of that caliber who could possibly come here, I could see where that would be a massive distraction. What about to the players, though? Do you think they're talking about it? I know they say publicly they don't.
There's a lot of things I think people do and learn publicly. I wouldn't call it a distraction. It's a talking point. And if a talking point is a distraction, DK, then maybe so. But here's why I stand on it. When Joe Hayden was rumored to be let go from the Cleveland Browns.
I remember this. Good example.
It's such a good player, right? I think we were without Ike Taylor at the moment, trying to figure out what Artie Burns was going to be as a pro. By the way, I saw Artie. I didn't talk to him today. He's doing a joint practice with Seattle with the Titans right now. So I saw his image. He's wearing number 23 there. But getting a premier player, right, DK, like Joe Hayden. One, we talked. Oh, yeah, we definitely talked as a group. We discussed, man, God, there's no way we can get a guy like him. Like, all of that comes up. It's there. And if I was in that room, DK, on the offensive side of things, I'd be coach. I would ask somebody. I would be asking Omar at the time. Oh, Omar, what y'all gonna do? Y'all gonna make this happen? Like, there's buzzing, DK, I'm sure, because here's the thing. You know what he can do for your team if you get him. The wide receivers, I don't think would have an issue with it. Like, some people might look at, well, how is George going to feel about it? It don't matter how George feels about it. It's a matter of, can we win as a team? You got to think this is a team decision. It's not a player made decision. The same way we were with Joe Hayden coming in. Like, Joe coming in was good for the team. And that's the same way I think you got to look at this Brandon Aiyuk situation. If they get an opportunity to get this deal done and signed and put him on a Southwest flight or a private jet at this point with the numbers that he may get on this deal.
Right.
Put him on a private jet. A G6, I think, is a really nice one. I don't know, DK. I don't live that life, but I heard the G6 is a really nice jet. Either way, get him a straight flight to the Western PA because he's good for the team. I don't think it matters. But to give you that real answer, DK, we 100% talked about it. And
yeah, I could see that.
It was a want and a need. And I think this situation for Brandon Aiyuk, DK, it is want and need.
It's both. It's absolutely both. And it's funny how, today Brandon Aiyuk shows up at the 49ers practice and he's wearing 49ers gear. Now, he was just standing on the sideline and whatever. He was wearing a 49ers t-shirt, and immediately like this, the conversation around here changes to, well, what about DK Metcalf instead?
Who's also in Nashville right now.
Because of the joint practice.
Yeah, joint practice.
Yeah, that's I believe that it's a need. I believe that it's one that Omar Khan is going to address in one form or other. I applaud Omar for the effort, the legitimate all-out effort to get Aiyuk. There's nothing he can do from this point onward. There really isn't.
Yeah, no. Did you last week with the rumblings that there was conversation and then it stopped from the Steelers? Did you take that as Omar being brash, like he should be in this type of situation as far as negotiating?
I mean, I just take it as, Omar is, Omar.
I do. That's why I'm asking you.
You know him way better than I do, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you dealt with the man face-to-face on real dealings. And when you're talking about someone who has his personality, he keeps one thing first and foremost. He doesn't appear to me, anyway, in the time that he's been GM, to allow ego to get in the way. A lot of GMs do that. They're worried about, so-and-so is making me look bad or whatever. They
take pride in that. GMs, yes.
A lot of them do. Omar, he just says, look, I'm just trying to get us to the Super Bowl. It's all he says in his answers. That's he keeps that focus. He just says, listen, if the 49ers end up, signing Aiyuk and all of this effort and all of this work and everything else was for nothing, and maybe I got played by either, John Lynch or his agent or whatever, or the player himself, I don't care, because I made an effort to try to help the Steelers get closer to a Super Bowl. Life goes on. There's another wide receiver out there somewhere. Do you follow?
No doubt about it, man. I saw somebody earlier put, I'm going to find it because it has some Randy. Winning. Key word. They want to win. That's all he's trying to facilitate right now. Honestly, DK, whether we get Brandon Aiyuk or not, I got to tip my hat to him, because, again, this has been a long, drawn-out process of It's not a black cloud. It's just a cloud of just lingering, pending free agent trade situations, right? And if the rumors are true as far as them wanting a player back, who is that player, DK? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's been a lot of not emotions, but there's been a lot of back and forth. And I got to tip my hat to Omar for one standing his ground. It seemed like they were trying to fleece the Steelers. And Omar shut down the talks from what it was reported and just said,
this is where the value is. This is where we, the Pittsburgh Steelers, value this asset. That's it.
Yeah. So I'm really fascinated to see how it ends. If Brandon Aiyuk get it, good for him, man. But I think Omar has done everything possible to get this thing done. It's been fun to watch. I'll be honest with you. I enjoy this type of thing as long as it's not bad. And if he comes in and does well, I'm happy for Justin. I'm happy for Russ. And I'm happy for the wide receiver core. I'm more happy for George Pickens, too. I don't think he understands what that type of help can mean for him.
Yeah, it makes a big, big difference. It's not competition when you're lining up on the same side of the football, is it?
No, my brother. That's as honestly, if you get a guy like him, it probably will accelerate the idea that George Pickens can get paid sooner, or even Pat Fryermuth. And we don't know if either one of them are part of this trade equation too. I doubt it. But here's what I saw somebody say too, as far as Aiyuk goes. Whatever happens on this deal, we'll see if Omar really stood his ground or what, because for them to be considering getting rid of a Brandon Aiyuk, who's to me a crucial part of their Super Bowl window, and they're in one right now before they have to pay this quarterback.
They got to do that now.
So if somebody does have to go out west, right, and I don't know who it is, a player, you got to somewhat understand why, because San Francisco are in a spot to where they got to have something to really compete for Super. Trent Williams is getting old. There's only so many hits that Christian McCaffrey can take, right? And when you look at Deebo Samuels, how many times has he finished a season, right? Brock Purdy's already had the UCL issue. Their O-line is somewhat in a reshape. Like, there's a lot that's coming their way, but Pittsburgh's also getting to the point where they're trying to knock at that door, DK, and not having first-round bounces in the playoffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so intertwined. I love this. I'm going to be honest with you. There should be a movie made about this trade, probably. Not a movie, maybe a docuseries.
When we come back, we're going to go after the one and the only segment that actually matters. It stands in isolation. It rises above the rest.
That's Hey Mom. We'll be right back.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
All right, we have some legitimately really, you know how we always say, oh, we got some really good questions. We actually have some really good questions today. So I'm going to make an effort here to get through them, get as many of them as possible. Some terrific ones. You ready, Moan?
Let's do it.
All right, here goes. Start off with our friend Jacob, who says, hey, Moan, do you think that TJ's numbers are inflated due to the defense being on the field so much? Yes, I know he's the greatest player on the planet, but I can't help but wonder.
Is it
snap count?
Snap count. Yeah, how many?
Is what he's saying. Yeah.
Here's the thing about his numbers being inflated is this, though, too. You still got to get there, Jacob. Like, the production, like, I've seen teams be bad and guys not get sacks in series or turnovers and stuff like that. You much rather the defense be on the other side of the field, but that to me seems, I mean, on the sideline, but that to me seems like somebody else that you either have gotten that information from or collected yourself that's trying to justify somebody else being better. The Steelers being on the field doesn't matter as far as TJ's numbers and production. What matters is TJ Watt's production, and his production is high, whether he's playing 50 snaps or whether he's playing 80 snaps. You can't deny that.
I see what Jacob is saying. I get that. It's like if you get more at bats, you're going to have more home runs.
Also more strikeouts.
And also more strikeouts. And where TJ specifically is concerned, it's funny that you'd bring him up as the example, because TJ is the one, and he's told me this many times, the less he's out there, the more effective he is.
Crazy.
It's true, though. Why? TJ's number one asset as a football player, Mike Tomlin will tell you this as well, is his motor. It was the thing that they found the most attractive about him coming out of college. And they weren't even 100% sure about him at the position and everything, right? He had an unbelievable motor, a fire to get back there. I'm not talking about motivation. I'm talking about actually the execution of it. TJ will tap out more than most star players. Why? Because he knows he has to be at X level in order to get back there. So I would argue, counter to you, Jacob, here, and I know you just asked. You didn't.
Yeah, and he said he's a big TJ fan, too.
Yeah, of course. But what you say to TJ, would you rather play 60 snaps or 80 snaps? Which one would get you more sacks? Which one would get you more hurries? Which one would get you more splash? He'd say 60 in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yes, 100%, man. It's ideal for him to be out there less.
Great question.
Because that is, and when I say this, it's no slight whatever, but TJ's not the biggest guy. It's not like he should be out there for 80 snaps, right, DK? His effectiveness is preserving power and being able to rush. And then the other thing, too, is what are you asking TJ to do, right? You asking TJ to be a offense wrecker. Mm-hmm. And that is what he does, whether he's playing. I see in 2023, the Steelers' defensive snaps was 1,136 snaps, about 66 plays per game. That is actually about average for what a defense could play. That honestly, Jacob, that's actually low for a defense.
Yeah, they started at the beginning of the season. The first 3-4 games were really high.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Most offenses want to be running between 70 and 80 plays. So if the Steelers are about 66 plays, and I see in 2022, they're 59 plays, that's actually really good for a defense. A game, really good.
Yeah, no question about that. Corky wants to know, hey, Moan, any update on Mason Rudolph? And, of course, you spent the day there at Titans camp, Titans joint practice with the Seahawks. Did you happen to catch up with old number 2?
Yeah, I did. He's a goofball. He always spots me, and I always watch for him too. And I always try to cover him in my day job by not mentioning that I play with him or saying, don't take this as me being biased. Today, that fool dropped a bomb. Do you hear me? Down the sideline over the Seahawks defense, and it was magical. It was so good. One of their wide receivers, Nick Westbrook-Akine, was talking to the DB, said, hey, listen, if you raise your legs quick and fast, you can catch the receiver. That's how big of a bomb Mason dropped. And to be honest with you, the Titans have had some issues with deep passes with their first guy, with Will Levis.
For a while now. Although Levis is capable of it. He executed one against the Steelers here.
But there's a science to being able to drop the deep ball too.
Mason fell out of the womb being able to throw those specific passes. He really did. After
that play, of course, the offense comes out. He turns around and look at me. I'm in the back of the end zone. He goes.
You've seen that one before, right?
I pulled some out of my pocket. It was fake, okay? And I used to do this with Ben and with him when the quarterbacks were in. They drop a dime. I'd pull a fake coin out of my hand and give him a dime. It's like, that was a dime. He was like,
oh, wow. That's pretty good.
He kept giving me the nod. I was just like, God, dog it, this joker.
Now, Will Levis is going to start there, right?
He's the guy.
Okay.
Will Levis is the guy.
Mason is showing well, though. That's what you'd want if you were him.
DK, look at me.
Okay, I've heard this too. Okay.
he's looking the part. So much so that people are asking me, it's like, he's not just a backup. And
I'm man. There's a month of film now.
Somebody I was like, he's waiting in the womb. Somebody actually said this today. So I was like, man, he's just waiting on this moment. It's like, well, he's been waiting all this time in Pittsburgh. I said, but you also leaving context out. He's behind a Hall of Fame quarterback too. He said, why you got to bring a truth to this? I said, because it's real. He's behind a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Good stuff here. Rayner says, who will be the Steelers' number 1 center? That might have become a little bit clearer today because Nate Herbig was hurt in practice today. If you didn't already think Zach Frazier was making the move, Zach Frazier might have just been handed the move.
Okay. I left that game this weekend watching it. It's going to be hard to keep Zach Frazier off the field.
Is that right? Is that what you saw?
That's what I saw.
Okay.
His leverage, his strength, his ability to move side to side. I thought I saw him displace guys in that first game. Now, again, there's probably some twos that he was going against. Technically, though, DK, I got to give credit to Coach Pat Meyer or in his college coach because he looked like he understands how to play center and he plays it, DK, with some – I hate using these type of catchphrases, cliches, with some grit. But he had a fighter's mentality on how he was blocking and going about his business.
He has shown that.
Am I wrong?
Even in drills, you're lining up with not only what I've seen in Latrobe, what I saw the other night, but what the Steelers people are seeing. There is a view of Zach Frazier as just being, I'm going to use this word here and don't take it in a negative sense here, boring.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, from that position, you don't want to know that player exists unless it's like Marquise, pulling 30 yards downfield or something crazy like that. Okay. But for the most part, that's, we saw what it's like when you're talking about the center the other night. On a couple of bad exchanges, whether those were Justin Fields' fault or Nate Herbig's or not, doesn't matter. As Mike Tomlin said, it still didn't happen. Jonathan says, I got to see the Fields tape from Friday. A lot of subtle but important improvements in his footwork and pacing, aside from the fumbles. That's a heck of a phrase. And George Pickens giving about 50% on half his routes. He looked promising. I didn't see that from George, but maybe you were watching some all 22 or whatever. But what did you think of Fields? Understanding the fumbles were there.
Absolutely. Well, see, this is what I'm saying, that DK, same as you said earlier, don't take this as an offensive thing to say. It's just a part of being in the NFL. He's got to learn how to be a quarterback better. Meaning if you're in harm's way, it's okay to get down. O-line gonna hate you for taking a sack. We don't need you to be a hero.
Live another day.
Yeah, live another day. Tuck the ball, get down. Like, honestly, don't take the big hit if you ain't got to, but there is no reason for you to be parallelling around and trying to get down the field and make a superstar play. I need you to be a guy. And then here's the other thing about Justin, too, is full context. That is also a part of his game. Part of his game is being dynamic with his legs, but there is, DK, a component of his career that needs to see him be a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers learned how to be strategic with it, right? We're watching Patrick Mahomes learn how to be strategic with it, right? Even Tua in Florida, in Miami, right? He's learning to stick in the pocket, take what's there, and get rid of it if it's not around. That's where Justin Fields, to me, has to show just a little bit more growth. He not have those fumbles, right? Fill in the pocket. And these are also things that we don't know that did or did not happen in Chicago or Ohio State. All right. There's a lot that we see in Justin. We just don't know what people have been pouring into him, because I will always, and I say this often, put some of this fault and blame on coaches that coach guys.
Yes.
What did you ask him to do? Did you just want to go best athlete, go win me a football game?
Yeah.
Or are you trying to develop?
Exactly. I look at this remark here, this response to you from Joshua Dobbs, who says that Fields needs a little bit of Kenny Pickett, meaning don't turn it over and trust the defense. I'm actually going to a little bit maybe, but if you're referring, Josh, to whenever the coaches told Kenny, just throw the ball 10 rows deep every time you're in trouble, and Kenny had that one week where he did exactly that, I can tell you that Mike Tomlin's stance, and he has said this out loud as it relates to Fields, is we do not want to take that out of his hands.
Yeah.
We do not want to take the dynamic player, that electric player, away from. We don't want to tie him down. Yeah. Okay. So some of that, there just has to become maybe a sharper, quicker, danger. And in which he says, all right, this play's over. Forget it.
Yeah, and to follow this up real quick too, Rayner says fumbles not all Justin's fault. Somewhat true, but it's also his responsibility to take care of the ball when it's in his hand.
One way or the other, it's got to be, and that's why Nate Herbig and Justin Fields, to their credit, were out in Latrobe the very next day.
Come on.
At St. Vincent College, standing in the middle of the field, just working on snaps, because sometimes you're snapping from the right, sometimes you're angling, depending on where the play goes, where the center is going to go. They have to have some chemistry, and at the same time, Moan, as you know from living right there, you also don't want to give the play away.
You do not, man. There's a lot that goes into a pre-snap, dog. So it is his responsibility to get onto the ball, either not pulling out from under the center quick, or stand under. You know what I'm saying? Like receive the ball. That is also, DK, we don't speak enough about that. Going under center is also an art to receiving that ball too, which in today's college, ain't many quarterbacks go under center like that, where they do the old clap and stuff like that, right?
Ted wants to know if you saw some zone blocking out there. I mean,
yeah, you did. You saw some
take us through it, because that's an Arthur Smith staple.
Yes, it is. They were pulling. I saw Broderick get around the horn a time or two.
Did.
Troy Fautano a time or two got in. We saw guys blow up. This is going to be a gap scheme, inside zone, sideline to sideline type of squad. We saw what it looked like when Jaylen Warren got his runs and stuff, right? Like, you can employ guys to do a multitude of things. Another thing that Arthur Smith is going to do, play action the heck out of folks and throw that ball down the middle of the field and sideline.
So much play action.
We talk about this.
My goodness.
But why is the play action good? Because you had those big boys up front moving folks around, DK. They actually move folks around and displace defensive lines. When you have a solid, or the threat of being able to run the ball very good, these are the things that come from it. Chunk plays down the middle of the field or down the sideline because you set up the play action.
Sean Monahan says, hey, Moan. He comes through. Look at that. Some gusto.
I love that, Sean.
What do you think of Mason McCormick?
I thought his play was solid. Not a whole lot to take from it, other than the fact that he was a rookie that was solid. I didn't think there was a whole lot that you can take from his tape, because, again, it was mostly vanilla against guys that were the same ilk as he was, right? And he did what you wanted him to do. Like, was it anything that overly popped? No, I did think you got to drop his pads a little bit. Just a smidgen. I'm a guy that somewhat played high, probably people suggest. But I thought just in general, he seemed a little bit higher than other dudes on the offensive line, namely his center.
That's interesting.
And that's a small critique.
You played higher, though. I mean, you have a natural frame for that.
Yeah, his is
not every guard is going to be that.
No, I'll find that.
Are you looking it up? Yeah. But when I think of most guards, I think of them as coming in lower.
315. Yeah. So again, at his height, he's got to be conscious of it. That's what I'm saying. But he looked like a bruiser, a road grader type. I think we are seeing now what Arthur Smith and the Steelers want out of an offensive line. Big body dudes. I will also say this too, as we're speaking about the O-line. Broderick, I thought, had a couple struggles at left tackle at times, a little bit pressure that was given up, which is fine and normal for his play. I thought he was better on the right, if I'm not mistaken, because then they flop.
They did. Yeah. There was a lot of movement, actually, even with the tackles as well, because of the whole Broderick Jones, and then Troy Fautanu ended up coming out because of the knee. Apparently, he's going to miss this week.
I know.
And not apparently, he is going to miss this week, and then we'll see what happens after that. My guy that's made the impression.
Can I say it?
Go ahead.
On the O-line?
On the O-line.
Spencer Anderson?
What the heck, man?
Not because he was flipping.
No, it's not because he was flipping. In fact, the flipping, as it does with most players, hurts.
Yeah, it does.
But when you watch the actual impact that he's having, and I mean impact, there was a big run that Jaylen Warren had that literally ran right over him. You know which one I'm talking about, too, where you just went, oh.
Yeah.
Something opened up there. And then you watch the replay and you go, oh, that's what opened up.
It was Spencer Anderson. Yes.
Yes. Do not forget about him just because he's versatile. Do not punish him because he's versatile.
No, it actually takes a special type of person to do what he's doing. And here's the thing, too, with Spencer Anderson, DK. I hated to take your thunder, but I was hoping I was right on where you were going.
You actually were.
He pops. He pops on tape. He does.
I'll tell you, the other guy that I ended up hearing a lot about after the game that I didn't think about so much during the game because he gave up a sack was Fautanu.
Yeah.
But when the Steelers people watched his film, they loved it. Okay, and obviously they didn't love the sack. I mean, he got beat to the outside. I mean, he was beat cleanly.
He was
pretty
rookie.
That's all that was.
Rookie.
Okay, but when he engaged, especially on run blocking, I mean, it was solid, and they were going to that side too. Both Jaylen and Najee for the most part.
Yeah, I I like those two. I did think, like you said, aside from the sack with Troy Fautanu, I thought Troy and Spencer Anderson and Zach Frazier for young guys really showed up well, DK.
Sean Price wants to know if it would be worth bringing in Juju as the 2 or 3 wide receiver. I think
that one for this reason.
Go ahead, Moan.
Nah, I think you move on past that. The offense is a little bit different for it. If you did bring in Juju, it needs to be probably for well, I ain't gonna say it needs to. It may be for minimum, and you're looking to see if he's gonna do that old thing he used to do. There's no guarantee. Here's the thing: he was cut before the final cuts to go find a job, and he's still not signed yet.
And still nobody's picked him up. And you know, we've talked about the knee. You know, and he's had issues with the knee. He had issues with the knee in Pittsburgh, and that explosiveness that he showed, that I'm sure everybody, including Sean, remembers. That hasn't been there for a long time with him. Okay,
right.
Juju is going to be wherever it is that he lands, and I'm sure he will somewhere. He's going to be a guy who gets open, stands on his X, catches the football, gets tackled within a yard.
Yep.
Okay.
What's crazy about Juju is this. This is where, I guess it goes a little different, but he signed a 3-year, $25 million deal last year. And you nix it after 1 year. And
Just
it's not like
that.
Juju is, how old is Juju? I'm looking up right now. It's not like he's 32.
No, because he was drafted really young. He's got to be like 26.
He's 27.
Okay, yeah.
He's 27. All right. He'll be 28 November 22nd. It's not like this is an old receiver. The Patriots chose to get rid of him with a guy who was on that staff last year, and Gerard Mayo, who's now their head coach, because it's just not working for them in New England for what they're going to ask him to do. That tells you a lot.
And the Patriots are a team that could kind of use some offensive playmakers. So, I mean, take that into consideration too. And they still don't want him.
Yeah.
Rico wants to know, what do you think the Steelers would have to give up to get Aiyuk? I don't think it's as much as we all think. Well, Rico, again, this part's done.
Apparently it's done.
Yeah, this isn't some future hypothetical. The fact that they haven't made it public is different. My understanding and our reporting at DK Pittsburgh Sports is that there's no first-round pick involved. This is going to be about picks. That's the way this goes. And if the 49ers want to turn that into another wide receiver, go nuts. The Steelers aren't on the hook to rebuild the 49ers.
No,
use your assets to go get a wide receiver from somebody else. The Steelers don't have one to give you.
Yeah, no. And on top of that, they drafted Ricky Pearsall out of Florida for this specific reason too. They were planning on this, whether Aiyuk plays on this franchise tag or they find a way out of him this year.
Just smart.
Yeah, which is smart. 49ers are good with that type of stuff.
I think, Tube Dudes has given they're not the Steelers are not giving up a first rounder in this. Okay,
No.
We've already reported that. Our Chris Halleck has reported that. Mark Cunningham says, "Hey Moan, is it possible Juju could play a little tight end for? Do you guys just want him back for the TikToks?
I
what?
love the nostalgia, DK.
He's not the same player, guys. He's just not.
He's not, man. Juju in this offense, what would he be if you get Aiyuk, number 3?
I don't know. I mean, if the way this is going to work is you're going to have, I believe, you're going to have George Pickens as your number 1 regardless. Okay. Even if Aiyuk were to come, just hear me out on that, because the offense has been built that way.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. Okay. The next guy that you're going to have is either somebody from the outside or whatever. And then Van Jefferson becomes your universal backup to either WR1 or WR2. Okay. But that's where you want Van Jefferson. And I say that respectfully to a guy who's a pretty good football player and is working his rear end off in this training camp like nobody else. 300 balls a day out of the jugs machine after practice is over.
Love that.
He's going to end up marrying that machine.
Or be his best man at his wedding.
Coming down the aisle.
Wheel it on his wheels, man. Yeah, 100%. Roll it in on his wheels, DK.
I mean, let's remember here that, with the Rams, Van Jefferson was a football player for a while there. Puka Nacua came along and screwed all of that up for him. Okay. That's a pretty rare set of circumstances. What was Nacua, 5th rounder?
Filter 6 rounder. Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, that's,
out.
Joshua Dobbs enjoys playing, where is it here? Van Jefferson on his video game.
David says Van can be great for us. That's also true too. You know how you make a great receiver? By having a really good quarterback.
It's really not that much to overthink. And I think that if people got to see some of the plays that Van Jefferson is making, his versatility, the fact that he can run deep and get some separation and create some splash, that's been interesting as well here to observe. Jeff Rossi says, "Hey, Moan, help me understand these numbers regarding Aiyuk. Whenever the Steelers still have extensions to execute with Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris, Cam Hayward, among others, they can't possibly pay everyone, can they?"
Man, I promise you, if they want to, they always can.
They can.
The Steelers right now got over almost close to $14 million in cap space.
And they have the third most cap space projected in the NFL for 2025.
Yes.
As it pay quarterbacks.
As it stands right now, there will be no dead cap on the Steelers in 2025. Think about that.
Crazy.
We've always been here. So-and-so is on the book. This guy's on. We finally got Lamar Woodley off the books. Willie Colon is finally off the books, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we've always had those conversations. Right now, as it stands, the Pittsburgh Steelers cap space will be $89.6 million in 2025. That's how they can afford it with those guys left.
Now, let's also be clear about this. Those players that you mentioned here, particularly Freiermuth and Hayward, the reason nothing's happening on either of those fronts, and believe me, nothing's happening, is that they're waiting to see how this goes, because they'd have to start moving stuff. If you bring in a player at $30 million a year, you're going to be moving a lot of stuff around. I don't care how much room you got. And they might have to do oh my God, the English language has just failed me in this moment.
Restructuring?
A whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
You know,
can I say something that's just super sinister and dark real quick? Speaking of those deals.
Okay.
San Francisco is still in the window, right? What if they ask for Cam?
Oh, stop that.
I know. I told you what it was going to be.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Ain't going to happen? Okay. No. All right. I just had to ask. I just had to see if there was because like you were right earlier.
And I don't see a defensive need over there, to say the least.
Because they got Hargraves already.
Yeah. The only team they can't stop was the one that beat them in the Super Bowl. Sean Manahan says, "Hey, Moan, do we even need another wide receiver? How do you feel about that? How would you feel if the Steelers went into Atlanta with the guys they've got right now?"
There's a need and a want to me, Sean. Both of them. I think they want one. I also do think they need one. I do think the presence of names matter on NFL teams and rosters. Like when we were going up against people and they didn't have many ex-players, we knew we were going to beat them. It's just that simple.
It's funny how that works.
It is. Like if it don't happen, I side out of season just a little bit because you need those type of guys. And Arthur Smith, for the most part, has had two wide receivers, Corey Davis and A.J. Brown, right? He goes to Atlanta, get the same immediately. Go get the kid out of Ohio State. Not Olave. Golly, I'm forgetting who's the rookie receiver in Atlanta. Somebody's going to tell me in a second. But
yeah.
God, dog. It'll come up in a minute, man. But he's got guys, always had dudes. I like the Arthur Smith offense, where it's very tight end heavy at times too, DK, but it ain't many teams that rely solely on, in today's NFL, the tight end the way the Patriots did. And even with the Patriots, Drake London, even with the Patriots offense, they were always able to find an outside threat that can go deep down the field, right? Even with those tight ends that they had. I feel much better with another guy.
Brent says, let's just be honest. The Steelers want a player who looks exactly like Mike Tomlin. It's so bizarre. It is bizarre. Have you seen the side-by-side pictures?
Yeah, I have.
Wow.
I have. It's his doppelganger for real.
I mean, if the coach had the longer hair and the braids, it'd be freaky.
Insane. Yeah, it went from Omar Epps to Brandon Aiyuk.
Man, that's some good stuff.
It is.
We're going to take one more question here today. It comes from Mark, who says, as good as Omar and his staff have been, is it a failure to even be in so much need for a receiver at this stage of the game? I guess, Mark, one way to look at that is, did you want to make or need to make the Deontay Johnson trade?
I think you needed to.
Because what you got for him, Deontay Jackson, I mean, he looks like he's a decent player.
Yeah.
But now you're trying to replace Deontay with somebody who's going to cost you multiple draft picks and $30 million a year. I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
Nick says they created this hole. They did.
I mean, yeah, you doggone right. They did. It's also the reshaping of the franchise, right? DK is how I can compartmentalize it. Is this, I mean, you don't have the luxury of having a plethora of wide receivers like we have in the past when you have no quarterback for stability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who knew Deontay was going to want out like this? Like, it's that side of it too. There was somebody else dancing to a different song, and it seemed to have been Deontay. And the way their quarterback is looking now in Carolina, I mean, who won or who lost in this situation?
Yeah, I don't think you worry too much about what happens to the player when he leaves. That's kind of a vindictive talk show caller thing.
It is, but my point is Deontay was dancing to another song. It seems like.
Yeah, he was, and I also believe, and I have believed from the beginning, that Arthur Smith took one look at him and his blocking tendencies and what he's done on the run and said, "Whoa, no," because if you think about the way Arthur Smith used Van Jefferson when he got to Atlanta, it was he barely got targeted. He was just schemed to go out there and block people, and he did it well. And there's no doubt in my mind that's why Van Jefferson is in Pittsburgh now, and why Deontay isn't.
Yeah, and I love Deontay. I have to throw that out there too. But
he was one of my dudes when he was here. I've made that very clear.
He smiled so big when I saw him last year, man, because he's one of my guys, man. I love Deontay, but I understand this. Business is business, man, in this league.
Yeah, no question about that. When we come back, we're going to take care of a little bit of business here on the Ramon Foster Show.
Yeah.
And the Ramon Show will be back next week, same day.
Yeah.
Same time. You like this 3 o'clock, 3 Eastern, 2 Central time?
Because I actually got to head to football practice here in a minute.
See, that's why we do this. That's why we have these conversations. We also have them right in plain sight in front of everybody. They don't have to wonder. This is showing how would your head coach used to say this? How something is made or peel back the curtain.
Peel back the curtains, man. Cut off your eyelids. We're letting you all know. By the way, Deontay wasn't no cancer.
Oh no!
I just wanted to yeah, Deontay wasn't no disease.
This was a tremendous teammate. Okay, you might have seen a couple of things on the football field that you didn't like, but don't ever confuse that with what kind of a teammate. I saw when Deontay was hurt, for example, last year. Remember, he missed a month.
Mm-hmm.
He was walking through the halls with George Pickens, constantly filling his ears and being there for support and everything. Don't excessively. What is this all about?
Jug. It's Barber.
Barber is here.
What up, man? Gotta go low.
Barber.
What's up, Mo?
Not much, man. What's going on, my brother?
I just had to pop in and give DK something to drink real quick.
Man, you be careful wearing that Penn State hat around Pittsburgh.
Oh, we are. Hey, do you know that we have the largest alumni association in the world right here in Allegheny County?
Trust me, I've seen the stadiums when they play.
We town.
Yeah, I hear you, man. It's good. I appreciate you popping in on us.
Always. I'm in and out like a trap house.
In and out like a trap house.
I can't beat that exit.
No, you cannot, but I can, man, as I had the football practice. Y'all know how it goes, man. Call somebody you ain't talked to. Apologize to somebody, man. Have a random conversation. Buy somebody a drink, a beer, a shot, whatever you want to do. But at all times, man, be good to one another. DK, this is always fun.
It's more fun when the barber's in the house.
That was awesome right there. That was really, 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 really dope.
I want to thank before we get off here that I want to thank the people who contributed gift memberships here. Just to run through them real quickly here. Kerry with always coming in with the 1. Our man, the barber here before he came in with 5, and John came in with 20. We appreciate everybody who contributes to the program.
Yes, indeed. Josh, Mark, Sean, Robert, all you guys, man. Rico, appreciate you guys. Kerry, John, again, thank you.
See you guys next week.
Peace. I'm headed to football practice. 1-0 as a coach this year already, too. Played last night. Hey, it's middle school ball, man. Let me get hype. See y'all, good people.
The parting words, Mom.
Hey, already.